Pennsylvania. I lost my footing and fell 15 feet while climbing a boulder with my brother and others. I was so careful of everyone's step. Everything went black as I smacked a boulder in the face on the way down. I was 1 month from having my kid, so it was life-changing at first. I felt I missed her life when it happened. I entered complete darkness. Nothing there, A sense of fear, worry, and loneliness. Because I felt like I was in this location for thousands of years, afraid, I imagined I missed her life again. It felt like I'd never leave. It felt infinite. My voice talked to me there, but it didn't sound familiar. It talked as if I were expected to it, and I had to get up. I was unable to get up and fell 15 feet while climbing a boulder with my brother and others. I was so careful of everyone's step. Everything went black as I smacked a boulder in the face on the way down. I was 1 month from having my kid, so it was life-changing at first. I felt I missed her life when it happened. I entered complete darkness. Nothing there, A sense of fear, worry, and loneliness. Because I felt like I was in this location for thousands of years, afraid, I imagined I missed her life again. It felt like I'd never leave. It felt infinite. My voice talked to me there, but it didn't sound familiar. It talked as if I were expected to it, and I had to get up. I was unable to get up, although it kept telling me to. I felt like my battery was draining. Eventually, I had to decide. Was it worth living in these sensations and thinking on my life, or letting go and telling everyone I love them? That started it. Time seemed to slow down as I was aloft. I was thinking about my daughter and family and felt like I was in midair longer than I was. The descent was long enough. I heard my wife scream, and you'll never forget it. She poured her heart out. On the way down, I thought about all the things I wanted to accomplish but never did. I never had a good connection with my father, and I wished I could apologize to him before anything happened. When I struck my face on the rock and went blank, I feared I'd missed my chance. So I had times of remorse, loneliness, and wished I could have been more to my family than I was. It went from, so I was here. I had an out-of-body experience in complete darkness that felt like thousands of years. It seemed like every year I got hungry and thirstier. I felt my battery draining 1% at a time. By the end, I felt I had nothing left. I had to choose. I saw my family's faces. I've seen my parents, brother, and female's faces. I felt like it was waiting for me to decide. Should I tell them I love them again or let it go? I chose to return and tell everyone I love them. I wanted to reconcile with my father and ask for forgiveness. I just want to improve. I returned to my body after making that decision. Before I opened my eyes, I was chattering in my brain because I imagined everyone would be around me but him. I think we had a rough connection. He was the only one there when I opened my eyes. Everyone was shocked. My brother arrived later, but he was also on the boulder, so it took longer. But it was just the significance of me thinking he wouldn't be there to him being alone. God showed me something that day, He did. About a month later, I was taken up. I was scared of that night, or that experience, since I couldn't describe it. I hadn't heard of anything like that, and couldn't relate. I felt really alone during this process. No matter how hard I explained it, nobody seemed to understand me. Unanswered questions worried me most. That occurred in August 2021. I had a daughter in September 2021. In October 2021, my dad and I had a 3-week sit-down. I recall he came over randomly to offer her things. He and I were alone in the house, so I asked for his pardon. I wanted him to give me $10,000 all along, but I never got it. Not because he didn't want to give me $10,000, but because he didn't have it. After recognizing that, I sat him down and asked for his forgiveness and made amends, realizing that what we had between us this whole time was not worth it because we're only here for a moment and we never know when life can end. We reconciled and have been establishing a relationship since. This happened in October 21, and I had these visions within a week. One night, I was getting ready for bed and was dragged into my own head. I saw a huge library that went on forever, and all these volumes were coming toward me, and I read them quickly. I felt like I already understood what they were saying as I read them, so it was like remembering again. Another vision showed me as a soul, together with everyone else. Like you, I was a soul in a poorly lit area. Our cramped quarters prevented us from moving. I recall being confused in the faint light. We couldn't figure out why the place was perplexing. I felt a draw as it continued. No one could break through the cloud above us, but I was pulled through it and into a bright realm. Few people were there, and it seemed to last forever. One or two appeared sometimes. I attempted to stare at the light behind me, but I had to turn away out of respect. When I looked at myself, that source illuminated me. I've never felt that before. It felt like home. There's no word for it. It was homey, no. The embodiment of safety, okayness, and love. It embodied everything you expect from home, you know. I remember a warm, pink, yellow, red, and orange sky. Perfect, literally perfect. That place was flawless. The sky, tones, and everything were beautiful. The most gorgeous scene I've ever seen. Never seen anything like it. I remember returning from that vision with the realization that everyone wants the same thing. The world's problem is that we don't put ourselves in others' shoes. Our goal is for the world to comprehend our perspective. Therefore, everyone's puzzled because we're not doing it first. Life-changing. My mind went blank the next day. None of my past self remained. My life changed then. Trying to recall recollections from earlier photos was interesting, but I felt no connection. I felt like I had a second chance in life and could do things right, not by my standards, but by the cosmos and God to me. I had no idea how to see death. Yes, I was afraid, but I guess it was because I didn't understand it. I heard stories about what happens after you leave and where you're headed, which scared me. I concluded it's serene and there's nothing to fear after experiencing it. It's just another aspect of life, like being born and living. Everything has a place, and God allows death. Why fear it? Life continues, energy never ends, and neither do we. Honestly, I felt like I was next to the sun. I can only describe that accurately. It felt like I was standing next to the sun, and the energy it was releasing made me offer it my back out of respect. But it satiated me. I was stuffed. My battery reached 100% for the first time, and things clicked. I responded, "Okay, I understand this now. I believe that was the source of it all, and I believe the sun is the source of our galaxy, because without it, what would exist?" I realized that many people think we're looking for an SON, yet that S is the source of everything here. We're connected. Connected to all. Everything would end without the sun. Sun is at the beginning and end. In the first and last. I haven't had visions since then, but I've been learning more about life, how we're connected, why we're connected, what we're experiencing, and why we're here. Everything in nature is God. Every organic being in nature is part of this existence. I had an ego death because releasing the ego means realizing you're part of something bigger. Reminding yourself that your ego is a drop in a large ocean and wants to keep you. Like it wants us to think we need it. We don't need it. It needs us. That's the trick. It'll deceive us and fill us with our fears, you know. It sends us mental threats like, don't do that. Learning to let rid of the ego. I thought I was dying during my experience. I lost my ego. I feel God has something bigger for me, though. God gave me this sorrow to appreciate my blessing. This method taught me what spirituality is. All have a concept of spirituality, honestly. I think everyone is confused by it. In my view, spirituality is not learning to be spirit. We are spirit. Being human is learned. We're here and in this body for that. We're here to have a human experience, make errors, learn from them, and become better than yesterday. Learning respect, compassion, honor, trust, and truth. All these things. That's God's love and message. Nature existed before books, thus studying a book never mattered to me. Nature is good, awful, and ugly. The good won't be known without the bad. That's the unpleasant truth. So we need both. We must consider both views and decide what's best for the next circumstance, not which side we support. I think everyone today is just. Everyone's blaming. The issue is that everyone has a somewhat different view of good and evil. Thus, today's conflict is about courage and fear, not good and evil. Will we have the courage to stand up and do what's right for us as humans, as a species, and for the other creatures on our planet? Do we have the fear that will prevent us from doing what's right for everyone? I don't know where we're heading, but we're energy. The light feeds the plant, which feeds the animal, which feeds the man. But plant energy never disappears. It merely changes stages. I think how we live this life determines where we go in the next. If we upset people, drag them down, and don't show them love, our next life will suffer. But if we choose love, compassion, respect, and building each other up in this life, it will be beneficial in the next. Where I think, that depends on the person's lifestyle. Despite the tragedy, I had no recuperation. My shoulder popped out of place and caused shoulder problems, but that was it. No surgery was needed. Speaking of, I recall resting in bed one night and having this energy that drenched me from head to toe. I don't know how to express it, but it seemed like I was curing everything wrong with me. Other than that, I recovered quickly. Since we were pregnant with our kid, I was looking deep. I needed to figure out who I was to know who I am because I didn't want to recreate my father's mistakes with my kid. So I was genuinely I was soul searching and working hard to put my own parts together so I could guide her when she was here. I also remember being at my grandparents' house and hearing them converse amongst themselves before it happened. They were telling each other stories of how my dad was reared, which is his story, so I won't get into that, but it helped me understand. This gave me closure because it clarified all my confusion. Since I did that at one point, I understand why things happen that way. I believed I was chosen, special, and so on, but God does things for a reason, and if I filled my mind with that belief, I feel like it would build another ego, and we need to let that ego go to find who and what we are to the universe. I believed that at one point, but I let it go because I was blinded by this title and realized it wasn't significant. Everything happens for a reason, whether we know it now or later. I believe God finds light in cement cracks to develop flowers. I want to say that we are nature, just another shape and mirror of the universe. No need to worry. You're always taken care of, even when it seems otherwise. Anyone yearning for God, love, or whatever they believe in must first give it to themselves via health. Combining physical, mental, and emotional wellness reveals love. Because if you love yourself 50%, you can never offer 100%. Self-love at 80% means you can never give 100%. You must give yourself 100% to know how to give 100% to others. This is about that. Learning how to take care of the mind, body, emotions, and mind using information, not just stories and ideas, is important since reality is the absence of belief. No one will call them allies. The Word of God is right in front of us if anyone is curious. You're it. Choose your words carefully when writing your own story. If you need guidance, look to the stars because our Father God is the sky, not because of any belief, but because it unites every planet and galaxy in the universe. It's the biggest. Still looking for the Spirit of God. Look to nature. When we see the wind, how can nothing move everything? There would be no existence without that. Miracles are right in front of us, but I'm not sure how to say it. Just remove the blinders and see. I didn't believe in God as a kid. I assumed we were an accident. That was my typical view. I went to church when I was 19 or 20, but I left when I was 23 or 24. Since my engagement didn't work out, I had a hard time with life, so I took a break and figured things out. As it's drifted, I don't think religion is harmful because love underpins all beliefs. I believe religion has wonderful lessons, but I also believe that today's religious teachers may not fully comprehend what they're saying, which causes confusion. It's not my place to call anything good or bad, because that's opinions, but considering the state of the world today and the need to come together, we need to realize that half of us are looking at a 6 and half at a 9, but we need to stand together. Understand we're looking at the same stuff. You should research everything you believe in and everything you don't. You'd be a fool if you just run with something that sounds wonderful. Always see things from the father's perspective. If you have 3 children, one is amazing, one is okay, and one is terrible. Which one do you love more? You'll love them all equally, not more. Thus, the parent values every life equally. So to imagine you have one man above you or people below you is false. Every man is equal and a Christ if he chooses to be because he is love in his heart. If you're not sure what the Bible is or where to find it, check your heart. Who is to say your heart is wicked? If it's your heart, it's strange. God gave us hearts for a reason. Our home and heaven are in the heart if God is love. I've never entered two identical houses. That's foolish. Why would paradise look the same? Everyone can choose their heavens. Just follow the golden rule.